You're going to love this. Part 5 of our Kitchen Confidential series from KBIS 2025. This one is part 5. Just calling it Revolution or Evolution. The kitchen revolution, it's here. It really is. But is it more evolution or revolution? Are designers developing contemporary kitchens based solely on new ideas or looking to the past for inspiration? You may think you know the answer to this, but until you listen to this panel, it might change your mind. Is it a wholesale revolution or a patchwork of ideas creating a whole new set of concepts and opportunities? How's the evolving nature of the kitchen and kitchen design changing the way we think about the heart of the home? How are changing technologies and desired functionality reshaping the modality of kitchen use and design? We explore how new opportunities in appliances and technology have evolved the programming of a kitchen suite, how sous vide, various mode applications, Wi-Fi enabled appliances, water-saving faucets, and features combined with revised floor planning have forever altered these spaces, making the kitchen once again the place where everything happens and from which life takes shape. This conversation features Christine Vroom of Christine Vroom Interiors, Arianne Belzer Interiors, Jonah Kilday, MK Workshop, and the topics of this conversation include multi-kitchen homes, resurgence of the butler's pantry, scullery, wine bar, coffee bar, increased appliance packages, and programming changes in kitchen spaces. What defines luxury and how does that manifest itself? For show or hidden? Definition of luxury, triangle versus zones, inside out, and the rise of luxury outdoor kitchens. Modern definition of function, and ensuite kitchenettes. And so much more, you're not going to believe it. This was incredible. Love this conversation. Think you will too. And I have to make sure to hit the record button.
That would be good.
Because if you don't, it's bad.
It's really bad. It's really bad. You have one job.
To me, I think that's the equivalent of not being there for an install.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Each equally, yeah.
Oh, was the install today?
I overslept.
Favorite things designers love to hear. Oh, was the install today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Deep breath. Love it. Is everyone properly caffeinated here?
Yes.
Oh, yes,
We're good.
very.
We're ready to go?
We are
Ready to go.
I don't need caffeine.
Oh, you are
I'm just
rock
on a
star.
constant high.
Wow.
Oh, good
Yes.
for you.
I aspire to be you one day.
Sans caffeine, Christine.
Whoa.
That's not fair.
I know. We can't have it all.
No.
Well, listen. Welcome to KBIS 2025.
Yes.
We are in the KBIS podcast studio, and which I love.
This is fun.
It
This
is
is
fun.
fun.
I like this.
It's amazing. And this is presented by AJ Madison and AJ Madison Pro, great friends of KBIS, and I'm thrilled that they provided this opportunity because we get to talk about stuff
Yeah.
in a fishbowl.
Yes.
With people watching
Thank
us.
you,
With
AJ
people
Madison.
watching. Yes, thank you. I love this. Our chat today is evolution or revolution. This sort of modern, idealistic expansion of what a luxury kitchen, and we can explore the word luxury too, but what a modern kitchen looks like, what the expectations are on the client side, what designers have had to learn and how they've had to change and reorient over the past few years. So that's the idea. And while we're doing that, I figured I'd give you each a chance to sort of introduce yourselves. And by the way, speaking of KBIS, Christine, holy cow.
Here I am.
I know, but it's been what, 3 years? 4
Yeah,
years?
3, 4 in a row. Bam, bam, bam.
No, but 3 years or
3
four
years
since,
ago,
since
we were
you and I
chatting.
met here
Yes.
at another booth
Yep.
where we didn't have the benefit of the AJ Madison Fishbowl podcast
We
studio.
did
so
not. We were just in the mix of the people.
it was so loud.
It was so loud. I said, is this going to be okay?
And it was.
was
It sounded
great.
great. So, your background.
Yes.
Give me a little primer.
A little background on
Yeah.
Christine Sans Caffeine. I'm Christine Vroom. I'm from Los Angeles. We do luxury residential. This is the only career I've ever had. I started when I was 16 years old, working for a designer as a little assistant. Graduated my design degree. Here I am.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, is it my turn?
Yeah.
I'm Arianne Belizaire. I am a Baton Rouge, Louisiana-based interior designer, and I work on luxury residential and commercial projects. And this is my second career. So my first career was in mass communications and marketing. And I think that those transferable skills from working in that field, coming into a field where, quite frankly, what we do every day is sell design, have really served me well.
My turn. My
voice.
name is Jonah Kilday. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I have a design studio with my business partner, Petra McKenzie, who's based out of Austin. So we have a showroom in Austin called MK Objects, which sells our product lines. And then we have the 2 offices in Brooklyn and then in Austin. I've been in the business for 15 years with my own firm, and we do high-end, luxury residential and small commercial.
Love that. So we chatted a little bit about this idea prior to getting together, and I was sharing my experience with you in Southern California in 2017, I think is really when I noticed what was happening in Pasadena, Monrovia, Eagle Rock, with the dual kitchen was sort of new on the frontier of design, where you've had kosher kitchens forever, which is tantamount to 2 kitchens in a much larger footprint. But then, and I'm sure this happened prior to 2017, I never saw it. And now it's prolific. This idea where you have an Asian kitchen with a kitchen for show, but then a working kitchen for high heat, temperatures, odors. You have this Eastern European idea of a luxury kitchen, which is more living room than actual kitchen. It's never really used as a kitchen because there's a full working kitchen elsewhere in the home. But then you've got the butler's pantry, the scullery, the wine bar, if you're in a adult use legalized state or not, you've got a weed bar.
Love a weed bar.
Which, by the way, you know what's funny about the weed bar is the weed bar is kind of like in the 90s when cigars got really popular.
Oh, totally.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
then
when you say it like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And you would have a den or a living space converted where you would concentrate on air filtration, humidification, refrigeration. And that was what you had. But now I feel like the actual evolution of a luxury kitchen and the revolutionary nature of design has been handed over to the very creatives who do it. That is you. And so I'm curious, Christine, I'll start with you. Your idea of a modern kitchen and this idea of evolution or revolution and the manner in which it's changing and changing so rapidly. Your thoughts on this whole idea and how that's being shown in your work.
Yeah, I mean, being at KBIS especially, there's like the latest and the greatest coming out all the time. And so we're, I think as designers, constantly forced to educate ourselves and use our reps and use our showrooms as sources of education and information. And I mean, what I'm seeing in, quote, luxury, and I'm saying in quotes because it's like, what does that mean to one person means to another person, but luxury seems more in general leading toward technology. And I'm not kind of switching thoughts, but homeowners are a little bit more savvy these days. They know it's out there, they've seen it, they've done that. So I think luxury is like a stepping up in all directions on everything down to like specific hinges or inserts, technology, appliances, a separation from dirty and clean, and 3 dishwashers, 5 refrigerators, massive refrigerators. Just seems like anything that used to be is just blown up into this larger picture.
So my thoughts on luxury first, especially as it pertains to the kitchen, is that I'm seeing clients have courage, which I think is luxury. So courage means that you're not necessarily letting the builder's aesthetic or the designer's aesthetic, or what's on the resale market checklist aesthetic, or being so safe that someone would come in and buy your home very quickly. Not letting that dictate your design. Having the courage to say, I want to design this space for what my needs are, what my tastes are, what my aspirations are, and what my inspirations are. I travel. I went to another country. I love Asian-inspired design. I went to Japan and spent time in the country, and came back and wanted to incorporate some of those materials and those feelings into my home. And it doesn't matter that I'm living on a street in Louisiana, South Louisiana, where every other home is French Acadian style. Like, I have the courage to say this is what I want to do for my home, and it doesn't matter whether that's going to hinder my ability to easily sell my home in the future, because what I'm doing is designing for me right now. And that's what I think luxury means, and that's what I think we look for when we come to shows like KBIS. We look for opportunities or things that we can put in the back of our mind where we're just kind of cataloging, not knowing what we're going to need for what. But when we have a client who is so open and willing to tell us what's important to them, then we go, oh, I remember going to KBIS and seeing a manufacturer who makes a product that can help us in that way. That's what I think luxury is.
Jonah?
For me, yeah, I think luxury is sort of difficult, right? Because it's from person to person, it varies so much on what people believe luxury to be. For us, I think it's more of like a timelessness aesthetic that goes into it, and the materiality. Obviously, each project's going to be different, and each client will be different as they guide their way through the design. But yeah, I think that's how I would define luxury.
I think piggybacking off of that luxury really quick too is when you were talking about that luxury meaning different things to different people, and finding out what that is like the best part of making it luxury. Whether, some people are like, I need all the gadgets, and some people are like, I need all the technology. But to one person, a luxury is like too much technology is inconvenient, right? So there's all those little things when dealing with our luxury favorites.
I agree, especially the tech. A lot of people, at least our clientele, don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing, I'm noticing it sort of a trend of the technology where it was in your face and wanted you to interact with it immediately. Now it's sort of hidden behind the doors or whatever the case is.
Right.
I'm going to throw an idea out there for your consideration. I feel that luxury and the definition of luxury, because it keeps changing so much and it encompasses so much, that it's more experiential than anything else. And I think it's to your point, it's more individual to the people for whom you're designing. I think that there are more designers working for more people now. I think design itself used to be a luxury.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't, you tell me, is design a luxury, or is it approaching ubiquity? Is it approaching my philosophy? And the reason I started the show 12 years ago is because I love what you do. And I think everyone should utilize the services of a designer in the same way that if you're not feeling good, look, don't go to WebMD. I know you're going to do it. I know you're going to Google what's wrong, but don't do it. If you're going to design a home, if you want your home to be functional, go to a designer.
Right.
Talk to me about the experiential nature of what you do specifically as it relates to a kitchen. And let me put a few building blocks on the table that we can go with. Hiding tech. Switching over to, from gas, you have things that you have to think about. You have to look at the panel if you're going to go electrical. You have to look at the way that it looks. Is that suitable for your lifestyle? If you're working with modern appliances, are you really going to connect everything to your Wi-Fi? Are you going to use your bandwidth so that you can look inside your refrigerator and see that you need milk? I mean, look, some would say that's luxury.
Right.
Yeah. It's experiential. How does that affect the way that you work individually with your clients?
Wow. I mean, there's a lot of discovery that I would say we have to do. It's a lot of investigation of who this person is, what makes them tick, what they like, what they don't like, what speaks to them, So we do a lot of discovery portion before we even dip into design. And even just casual conversations like, oh, what are you watching? Just getting to know these people help us create a better experience. Because we could be, this range, you got to see it. We just saw it, yada, yada, induction, blah, blah, blah. and they're like, I hate induction, right? So you can't just throw stuff out. You have to know, what this person likes, and also bring your educated nature to say, yeah, you know what, this has been having some problems, so maybe we skip that brand. All of those things, I think, make us better designers and create a better experience for our clients.
I love the building block of experience being completely tied to luxury, and I do believe that when we look at the spectrum of design, because I do believe that design is essential in all areas. Like everything we experience has been designed by someone. Difference is whether or not we had a chance to have input in it, whether it was designed for us or designed for a universal experience. And luxury, I believe, is when you take that universal design, those universal principles and building blocks that we all know to be true to make a space functional for the masses, and you elevate it to a personalized experience for you. And what that does, if we speak about design in that way, is it creates value in all areas of design. There are people who work at the level where it wouldn't be considered luxury because it's not personalized, but it is essential to building spec homes or tract homes or and those are basically situations where the client or person has been taken out of the equation and the process has been streamlined to produce something that is appealing to the masses. When someone comes to a builder or an architect or designer and says, I have a lot of land and I want to start from the ground up, we can really center that person in the experience, and that, I think, is what is luxury. That's why it's going to be available to only a small percentage of the population versus the masses.
Yeah, I would agree with Christine. I think building that client profile initially, for us at least, is essential sort of to the overall design, and just having those simple conversations where you're sitting in the actual kitchen and seeing how they interact with it, and designing from that stage.
I think it's interesting too. Let's talk broader picture and then narrow down a little bit, because it dawned on me while we were putting this together, and I love this. LA, New York.
Yes, we're representing.
The other LA.
Yes.
And the other
fake LA.
And the other LA.
The little LA.
But it's interesting because you've got West, you've got East.
South.
I'm living in the Midwest, and you're in the South. These are very, very different. But let's start broader picture for a second. I also think that the approach to design is changing because people are starting to realize. Here in the U.S., we have a very transactional approach to real estate. We have it's transactional in our relationship. Like, hey, we'll move.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Hey, we can go here, we can go there, we can go across country, we can come back. Europe hasn't always looked at that. Asia hasn't always looked at that. But to take a European approach, when they do move, they take their cabinetry and appliances with them.
Wow.
I don't know how prolific that is anymore, but I know that it certainly used to be. And I think that you're starting to see that now, where people are realizing we've made a huge investment in appliances and in cabinetry, and I love the way that it feels, and we'll take it with us where we go next. I don't know if you've seen that, but I'm curious if there is a regional data set. Are there regional preferences based on where you are that you need to incorporate, or that you find more requested in your design? Joan, I'll start with you.
Oh, for sure. New York is a special sort of place. It's very tiny, so the space is limited. Even in the high-end residential, we can't really be designing these massive kitchens like I would in California. We do a lot of homes in California, and the trend of the second kitchen is certainly there. Also mixing the kitchen in sort of incorporating, seating areas or living room space into a giant kitchen where the family sort of gathers is very, that's what we do in California. But New York would obviously be different. But yeah, I think that answers your question.
Louisiana, we absolutely center hospitality in our designs. So Louisiana, we will celebrate anything and everyone. Give us an excuse, we will have a party. So every conversation that we have with our clients, to the point that my fellow designers has made, is centered around what does that feel like? Tell me about this kitchen or the kitchen on the paper that we're drawing. And walk me through what we're going to be doing and experiencing. Are we going to have crawfish boils? Are we going to have barbecues? Are we going to have birthday parties? And what is the setup? How many people? And so our kitchens typically are, they have always been sort of an open concept into at least a sitting room. Maybe not into the full living room or like open concept that we see in the mass market right now, but we've always had this kind of extension of not just the proper kitchen space, but what would be an extension where someone would be gathering with that person while they're cooking, because cooking is such a social activity for us. And because of our region, we happen to have the real estate and the square footage where we can have really nice sized kitchens, and that I think will never change for our region. So, and to your other question, we've never taken the cabinetry or appliances with us. I haven't seen that yet. Not saying it's coming, it's not coming, but haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, LA is very diverse. It's very different. The little pockets, I always say when you drive through LA, there's like these little pockets and you're like, ooh, this is nice. And then you're like, ooh, no. And there's these little and so doing work in like Manhattan Beach, their priorities are very different than they would be in LA versus they would be in Palos Verdes or beach cities and all of those, And so what I am hearing though as a common thread for our LA peeps is like, I want a show kitchen.
Yeah.
I'm always like, I want a show kitchen. I want my friends to come over and be like, I want this to be in a magazine. I'm like, I got you. We got you. But and part of that is like, I think busyness. And yes, they want the function, they want the families, the kid, like all of that too. But I see more predominantly like, I want the star. They know the brands. I want Wolf. I want this. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So.
Giving you a good starting point.
Yeah.
Let me follow up on that for a second. In LA, look, LA is home, so we can bash our hometown if we want to.
Yes, no problem.
I do feel like, growing up in LA, this ephemeral nature, especially as it comes to media and celebrity, everyone wants what they saw the latest celebrity has in the design magazine du jour.
Yeah.
It's not always functional for them. Like, look, we can talk about the Kardashians' kitchen all day long. I prefer not to.
Yes.
But it's a yes.
Yes.
But
Thank
it's
you.
it's a good example. It's a good example because, and I think this has even been said, they don't use it
Right.
daily. So guess what? You're not the Kardashians. If you want to use the kitchen, then it has to be functional to you. Mm-hmm. And you can't find that on a scroll on Instagram. Mm-hmm. You may like it. How do you separate celebrity concept, celebrity design? Because in LA it's prolific, because you see it everywhere. How do you separate that in conversations with your clients?
I say, how much money do you have?
Well,
What's your budget?
Does it come down to budget or does it come down to function?
Well, I think both, but budget. Like if you have an unlimited budget, we can do whatever you want. You want a celebrity kitchen? Sure, we'll give you, all of that. But to your point, there are real conversations. Well, okay, are you sure you want to do this? Because, it's really inconvenient to, walk all the way over there to your refrigerator and then all the way over here to your trash, So those are things that do come to play. And those are conversations we mostly have. We don't really have anyone saying, I want to duplicate this. It's more about I need it to look amazing. But then once you get into the details, people are like, I need my spoons here and I need my laundry here, all of those little things. So I think, again, I just keep going back to educating people. We're building beautiful kitchens, but we're also designing them to function for the next person, and yeah, that's part of the process.
I actually want to transition a little bit back to New York for a second. I didn't know this was going to be regional, but I really
worked out that way.
I do love this. Mm-hmm. Smaller footprints. Mm-hmm. So there is a greater, just on average, by project, you have smaller footprints. So you have to be more creative. And because Manhattan Beach is home for me, much smaller footprints. Yep. So you have to be creative as well. But in LA, you have more outdoor days than you do in New York. But you're still looking at outdoor spaces. If someone's got a small deck, can we put a kitchenette out here? How do you work that into a conversation and using outdoor spaces and maybe using underutilized spaces as well? How do you navigate that?
I mean, if you have the space for, like, a lot of the high-end sort of luxury buildings that have been popping up all over Manhattan, they come with balconies now that we'll do an outdoor kitchen. But it just depends on the space. You design according to the footprint, like you mentioned. So, yeah.
You're listening to KBIS Confidential, live conversations from KBIS 2025 from the KBIS Podcast Studio. We'll be right back. Hey, pros, designers, builders, contractors. If you're not using AJ Madison Pro, you're leaving time and money on the table. AJ Madison Pro is the ultimate appliance solution for professionals who need fast, reliable access to top brands without the headache of back orders. Thanks to the in-stock promise, you get products you need ready to ship immediately so your projects stay on track. With nationwide shipping and delivery, AJ Madison's massive logistic network ensures your appliances arrive exactly when and where you need them. No delays, no surprises. And with over 150 top brands, this is your one-stop shop for all things appliances. Their team of industry experts provides personalized service to help you select the perfect appliance for your projects, ensuring a seamless experience from start to finish. Plus, here's an insider tip. Qualified builders and architects gain access to exclusive trade programs with significant savings on select luxury brands. AJ Madison Pro handles the registration for you, so you get the best deals, no extra work required. Join AJ Madison Pro today at ajmadison.com/pro and start streamlining your projects with ease. Utilizing outdoor spaces, and especially with regard to outdoor kitchens. I don't understand, so I need your help. I never understood how designers would give up real estate to design an outdoor. Let's preface this by saying, when kitchens went from a grill or a built-into brick and a hose for a water source to what outdoor kitchens are now, and it wasn't that long ago. Yet, most if not all designers 5 or 10 years ago would say, that's outside. I don't go beyond the patio. I don't go outside the enclosure. I don't go outside the envelope of the home. Yet, nowadays, you look at a luxury kitchen, landscape designers are picking that up, architects are picking that up, and I think more designers are starting to pick it up. Do you include outdoor kitchens in your practice?
We do. I mean, part of it is figuring out who the team is. So if there's a landscape designer or landscape architect on board, I mean, we respect the boundaries of, and then we get into our more collaborative space of, hey, we're using this indoors. We'd love to see this. Like, this is what we were thinking, but this is your world. We totally respect you. But if they don't have somebody on board, then we totally jump in as it's an extension from the home. They're usually close by. You know, they're not like, kitchen's not way over there. So there does need to be collaboration there, though, if there is somebody on board.
Do you want to go?
Oh, sure. Similar to you, we will often look at who's already on deck to do the work. Most times they haven't thought that far. They really don't have a landscape architect on board, and so we're able to make recommendations of people that we know we work well with, who specialize in that space, because there is an extension beyond just the kitchen and outdoor living component that we want to make sure is also cohesive with the total design. So it makes sense for us to collaborate and partner with a landscape architect on the outdoor spaces. Again, in Louisiana, we love to celebrate. We like to be outdoors, but we often really struggle with humidity and the heat. So not like LA, where you guys have really beautiful outdoor, like year-round temperatures. For us, it can be really hot and muggy. And so we want to think about the transition between indoor and outdoor, but also keeping that outdoor space comfortable enough for them to enjoy the investment they're going to make in that space. So are we doing, some type of pergola or overhead structure? Are we doing some kind of screen that helps to, helps with the temperature control and the glare? It really becomes whether or not we're building another outdoor room, or is it just going to be really an outdoor space that the landscape architect can help fold into the foliage that's outside?
Yeah, we're the same. With the landscape architect, I've worked on a couple projects where we've collaborated, and I picked like the materials or something that would go into it, and he did the footprint. For the most part, we prefer to do all of that in-house, but it really depends on the project.
And I've never had a bad experience. I don't know if you have. I've never had a negative experience working with landscape where there's a very respectful boundary. And sometimes they're like, yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're more focused on like plantings, hardscape, layout, what goes with lighting, all of that. And then we sort of swoop in with our gorgeous materials. Yeah.
You swoop in.
We always swoop in.
I think there was a window of time where clients were asking for something in an outdoor kitchen, and designers were like, well, and the landscape designer was like, well, I guess I can do it. And so they kind of took it over. But it's amazing now that you can put indoor appliances into an outdoor kitchen, that some of the new materials that they're coming out with are just amazing.
And even the finishes, the hard finishes, like, we look at people like Costantino with Southstone and Decton and how they're able to bring the same color story inside and out, and really are integrated and partnering with other companies to make that outdoor experience as seamless and beautiful as the indoor experience that we've all been known to use them for.
Yeah, I saw some outdoor cabinetry today that was weatherproof that I really appreciated.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Give me tips on that. Go hunt that down.
You know what? That's a great segue into discovery into new products, because look, I don't think that there is any space in the home, you tell me, but I don't think there's any space in the home that is changing as rapidly as the kitchen. The bathrooms had a moment when you're adding steam, and you're adding sauna, and you're adding this experiential nature to what a luxury bath is. But nowadays, and here's another sort of question: when you add a refrigeration drawer for GLP-1s and makeup and water into a bathroom, when you're adding a warming drawer for towels, so you're taking that towel bar off the wall and putting it into a drawer, you're kind of blending this kitchen bathroom idea, and where are the lines, and which lines are being blurred?
That's a great question. I don't see the kitchen and bath maybe as much in maybe my vicinity blending over too much. I mean, I'm still seeing the same like innovation in technology and lighting and those various things. Personally, not done a warming drawer in a bathroom, but that's kind of, I like that.
Yeah.
I might kind of just steal that right now. But yeah, I'm not seeing, I agree, the kitchen is just transforming where it's getting bigger, but also smaller and moving around, and they're separating. There's like a cooking room, and there could be like the butler's pantry and this pantry, and there's all sorts of pantries. So I think the usage of the kitchen is what I see the most changing. For bathrooms, the usage is the same.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I think my experience has been, again, the advantage that we have is being in the South, we definitely have the space to build bigger homes, sometimes too big. We have done projects in Louisiana and in Texas where, Lord, it's like they're giving away square footage for free, and so we make the McMansions. But with that being said, I think that I've seen kind of a resurgence of creating a primary suite experience, and that is where I see the blend of the bathroom proper being connected to a space that could be considered quasi-kitchen, but keeping it sanitary and separate on its own, so it's like a connector. So we've done, this is where our coffee bar has come into play, this is where our refrigerators for the water bottles and roll towels for, the sauna experience has come into play. So that's where I see that blend happening. It's not in the bathroom, because I think people still want that separation of like the kitchen items, but it is connected in that suite experience. So you open the primary suite and you have different areas and zones where you have these different functions come into play.
Yeah, we were designing a home, and there was this little vestibule in between the primary closet and the primary bathroom, and there was a little drink fridge, and the client said, I feel like my refrigerator is in my bathroom, we need to take this out. And I'm like, oh, okay, so, that might be weird.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to make coffee in my...
And then might just take a tub, just
right.
walk over there, so.
Yeah.
The vestibule is where it needs to stay.
That's right.
The primary vestibule.
Is the whole home changing still in response to the pandemic?
That's a good question. I think for us, I found people like to close doors now. They do not want an open floor concept. They want to be able to tuck away somewhere and not be bothered by the rest of the family. That would be my biggest takeaway from the pandemic, I think, was getting away from the open concept and going more towards smaller rooms.
I think my takeaway would be that during the pandemic, there was this hyper focus on sanitation and hygiene, and even like what was hypoallergenic in terms of our surface materials that we all knew to kind of consider, but our clients were asking questions about, and that introduced a whole suite of products and a way of thinking for manufacturers that it now has become our standard and our norm. Our clients expect us to talk about sustainability and how, to keep things clean and sanitized. We're not doing I remember, and it was like not that long ago, but, we need a zone where you take the shoes and clothes off and like spray everything down before you walk into your house. Like that to me was where we were really like in it, like we're committed to not ever having a germ in our house. But now I think it's been a little bit more lax, and we were like, okay, as long as things are generally clean, we're good.
I always say like the pendulum swings. Like there was like open, everything open, no walls. It's like, where are we putting art? And then it, pandemic, it was like, I cannot see my kids when I get, before I need my time. And so now we're sort of in this place where there's a little bit of that, I think, respecting boundaries. I've heard some of my clients say like, if anything were to happen again, and I'm like, no, that's not going to happen to it. No. But I think that's the whole, like, we swung, and the whole open thing, it didn't, like, functionally present itself well. And then now we were in close. I had past clients calling me, I need to add a door to my office, like, add French doors, add glass doors, all sorts of doors. And then now I think everybody's settled and already going into architectural planning. They're already zoning, like you're talking about, like, okay, we need a workspace, but still creating open concept in the main living areas.
Transition have been a good development. I think that dovetails nicely into your question about not just is this evolution, but the revolution. And to me, when we think about art history and design history, every big swing in design has been the impact of whatever was happening social and politically. And so COVID was that thing for us, where I think we can't see it now because we're so close, but I believe when people study this period of time and how it impacted the way we designed, especially in North America, where we're very, very protected from a lot of the things that our European friends and our Asian friends have experienced in their history and would inform their design. This would be the thing for us that was really the cusp of the revolution of us saying, what do we want North American design to look like and be? And what informs that? Oh, we don't necessarily have open concept houses anymore because we realized we needed the opportunity to zone off, cut off spaces. We have spaces that now flex. We don't have the luxury of, in New York, a space that is only dedicated to being a home office. It has to be a home office, a dining area, like it has to have multiple functions, right? And it's a response to what's happening social politically that is going to be the thumbprint over time that we look back at on the design of now.
And don't you feel like homeowners now have, since the pandemic, have been awakened to design?
Yes.
Like all of a sudden, they think they're experts. No offense, love you, but love you if you're listening. Just kidding. But I think it's like all of a sudden they're like, oh no, I know what I want to do. I know. Oh, we have to do this. It just feels like all of a sudden, boom, they become experts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that's part of the antisocial response. When you spend 2 years locked up inside and all you're
only
doing
on social media.
Only on social media. Now you know what
The
happens.
TikTok effect.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
TikTok,
That's right.
boom.
Yeah. But it's interesting too because that makes people feel as though it's the whole Dunning-Kruger effect. It makes people feel like they're actually experts.
Right.
When it couldn't be further from the truth. Which is why I go back to the fact that designers need to kind of protect their territory. And it's interesting because if you get known as an avant-garde, experimental, I call it experimental, the same way that any artist would be viewed, someone that's doing things that nobody else is doing. Doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
It means they're pushing the envelope, which is what it should be.
That's right.
On social, you get to see things out of context.
So true.
How do you get your clients off social? And let's have that conversation about specification. When you're specifying and you're going through all of the things, yes, it's expensive, and it's getting more expensive. How do you prepare them? How do you manage those expectations?
We get a lot of these sort of fake TikTok stars that are sort of supposed to be design experts, but when you actually watch it's all like a pony show where they're using like awful materials, and just because they look nice on camera or something, but in real life it's just a disaster. We see a lot of that, and I feel like the education to get out of that with design is it's become a thing with clients for sure. Like I'll be shown things on TikTok, and I'm like, this doesn't work in the real world,
It's the livability component, right?
Right.
It's the what's past the 30 seconds. How is that material holding up? How's that space plan holding up? How are those textures? How is what you're bringing in, if you follow that inspiration, going to hold up in your particular lifestyle when you have 2 dogs, 5 kids, and a husband who likes to kick his feet up on the sofa or coffee table? Like, what does that really mean for you? So I think for us, it's really kind of taking the impulse buying part out of it and saying, because, you have to be gentle. Okay, that's nice. Thank you for sharing that with me. It really helps me understand what you're liking and drawn to. But what does it mean for you if we do have this all-white living room? Like, what does that mean for the dogs? And what does that, and so I think just thoughtfully asking questions about the livability helps to open the door for the real conversations that we have to have about what's going to be practical for that project.
Yeah, and to answer your question about like what do you do when they're just like looking and looking and looking, I mean, I actually give them time limits. I'm like, I'm kind of spicy. So I'm like, okay, you have 3 more days to obsess about lighting, and then you need to stop looking at lighting. Like, your algorithm needs to change. So we need to have you looking at something. Let me help you by obsessing about this. And now you can go obsess about, which range you need, right? So like I'll try to divert because otherwise we're done, we're specified, it's input in our ID set, it's input in our arterial schedule, and then you've seen those little like GIFs, and then like one thing happens and like all the dominoes start falling, and we're just like, oh my God, you changed 1 light and now we have to change 8 documents. So it's like time limits, like you're done. And it's going to look stunning.
That's such a great point, because what we know is that our clients are chronically indecisive and they doubt themselves. And they trust us to a certain extent, but what they don't realize is when they do get that Instagram, photo, and they text it to us at 2 a.m, that it is a ripple effect. And it's like, okay, you are now doubting our entire lighting plan, and that impacts the room. That was the right light for that room and the entire scheme we built around it. And so it's really about just making clients understand that there are certain points of no return, like you said, like this, okay, so we've locked in this as our lighting plan. That's it. Anything you find that you like, that's for the next house. That's house number 2.0. We are going to finish this house because this is what is the right lighting plan for that. And you're so right. You have to just kind of let them know gently. I'm not as spicy as you.
I'm spicy.
Gently, like, that's nice, but I have to remind you, this is the right light for this room.
What's that called? Like decision paralysis.
Analysis paralysis.
Yes.
Yes.
There's like, we know there are 500 other options.
That's right.
We know that, but we've selected this one.
That's right.
Well, let's just roll with it.
Let's just go.
Mm-hmm.
Spicy aside,
Spicy sans caffeine.
I don't know any designers, and it's not true, that can tell their clients what to do.
No, I haven't figured it out yet. I have to be gentle and hope that they figure out that it's their idea to follow my recommendation.
It's an original thing.
The thing that does help, though, is when they are adamant about wanting to change, and then you say, okay, if that's what we have to do, let's remember the contract that says now we have to go back to the hourly rate of the work that it's going to take. And we can do whatever you want because you're going to pay for it. But I'm trying to help you avoid those fees for us redesigning something that you absolutely loved the first time we showed it to you. There's nothing wrong with it. It's that you are worried that you haven't seen the entire world of options. And, if you want to make the decision to go ahead and redesign everything and pay the hourly rate, you can. And most times that's convincing enough.
In New York, it's pretty easy to tell people to stop.
Yeah.
This is the
very New
southern.
York
Okay,
of you.
I think it's the regional thing.
I think it's the
Hell
regional.
yeah.
It's the regional. Y'all
Yeah.
notice the southern belle is like,
She's all sweet.
Right.
We're over here
Right.
like,
No.
gently remind them of the design piece.
I tell them not even to show their friends. I don't even want their friends'
Yes.
opinions
That
on
is
it.
so true because
Yeah,
the
that's
friends will
worse than
come
social
in.
media.
Oh,
too.
They're like,
it is absolutely.
yeah, totally.
I went to dinner and I showed my friends on my
Right.
phone,
No.
and they had
And they hate it.
questions.
Yeah, they
Yes.
hate it.
Yeah.
My friend hates
They're
it.
like, well, they haven't seen the rest of the room. They
Right.
have no idea
Also,
the
are they
context
paying?
is not there.
Are they
Exactly.
paying? They're paying for this
Yeah.
light girl. They can have whatever they want.
Right.
Yeah.
Two questions. Are they going to live there, and are they paying for it?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Exactly.
if they answered yes to either of those, then I'll talk to them.
Absolutely right.
Totally.
Yeah, give us a call.
Something that we touched base on but didn't really get into is lighting. The experimentation in kitchen lighting is just exceptional right now. There are some amazing things that are being done in lighting, not just in the kitchen, in the whole home, but with lighting. Has that opened doors for you? Has that changed the manner in which you design? Has that affected, we're talking about this experiential nature of what luxury is and what a residential kitchen could be and should be. How has lighting changed how you design?
Well, for us, I wouldn't say we stay away from overly techie sort of things unless the client prefers that. But we don't really come across a lot of clients that want to see a lot of tech everywhere. So we sort of stay away from the overly techie, like overwhelming lights when you're opening doors and that sort of thing. But I don't know if lighting personally has changed that much for us. I can't say that it has.
I think for us, we've grown in our understanding of communicating to our build partner exactly what the intention of the lighting elements are. Not obviously the overhead, atmospheric lights, but specifically when we talk about task lighting or integrated lighting into like under cabinet lighting, or if there's lighting components that clients want to be able to display something in upper cabinets. Really thinking about and being intentional with communicating the intention, the look, and really going to detail on our drawings has become something that we have had to do in the last few years because, painful experience, but walking into a kitchen where you have, strip lighting integrated for upper cabinets to display a beautiful collection for a client and seeing the heat dots of the light because we didn't think about them understanding what the intention was. That's a painful experience. And so the rework that has to happen and, the conversations that have to happen is something that we know now to really kind of go deeper into our details of our drawing set and our conversations with our contractor and the client so that everybody has the right expectation and the implementation is more seamless.
Yeah, for me, I think a lot about, as we were just talking about lighting, I think about temperature. And temperature has been such a big topic. And I've gone to a lot of different like Lutron trainings and various things, just not necessarily like, to your point, like the whole techie thing. It's more about like, and I think we've also had this like more innovative approach with fixtures, sconces in a kitchen. Maybe not the whole like pendant, maybe it's more like avant-garde and interesting. Maybe there's no pendants, right? So I think just thinking more out of the box and making, I think, bringing the awareness of temperature and how the lighting can impact the home, and then how is it at night? How do we want it to dim? Do we want it to dim to an amber? Like, what is your mood at night? So I think a lot of those conversations wind up coming up for me. It's my lighting take.
All right. I can't believe we're wrapping this up. But
Wow, that's so fun.
Last question. Let's start all the way on the right. Jonah, go all the way to the left. What did we not talk about? What are you discussing with your clients? What are you implementing in your kitchens now that maybe you weren't doing 3 or 4 years ago? What are you being asked for now that you haven't been asked for before? And what are they going to be asking you for in 2 or 3 years from now that maybe folks just have no idea what's coming?
That's a good question. We're doing a ton of banquettes right now in kitchens. Everybody wants a banquette. So that would be the major, I think, change for me. Otherwise, it's been pretty standard for a few years now that people just want a larger kitchen that the family that's the meeting place, the heart of the home. I think a banquet, if that's a good answer.
Low tech. I love that.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm trying to think of what we haven't talked about. I think if I answer the question of what we're being asked for, the thing that we're being asked for more often than not is a really interesting interpretation of the island, like what it looks like. Is it oval? Is it, rounded? Is there fluting detail? And yeah, two islands, right? I find that on the trend, I know this is a bad word, but trend curve, or the inspiration curve, the South is at the end. So we are the last to adopt any big trends. And so while that might have been really prevalent in other areas, for us, people are really interested in making that island presentation more interesting and dynamic, which is fun for us.
Yeah, I don't think this is an innovative answer, but the thing that I'm thinking of is just the amount of appliances that are going into these kitchens. I mean, double dishwasher, extra fridge drawers, freezer drawers, wine refrigerators, under-counter wine refrigerators, refrigerator drawers that turn into freezer drawers, ice makers. I mean, whatever we can fit. And sometimes I get their wish list and I'm like, oh my God, we have no cabinets.
Right.
So we're just trying to make do with these. And these appliance bids they're just going, I mean, minimum $100,000, for an appliance suite, plus your dirty kitchen, and then your kitchen downstairs and your bars. And the amount of appliances is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that comes, we got to upgrade the board.
Totally.
The panel needs to be upgraded.
Hopefully we're gone by then.
Take it all with you. Listen, this was so much fun, and the best part about it is we only scratched the surface.
Yes.
I love that. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you, KBIS, for having us. Thank you, AJ Madison Pro. Thank you for having us out and for making this podcast studio possible. This was so much fun.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having
Josh.
us.
Thank you.
Good times.
What a remarkable experience. I believe that KBIS is one of the annual must-attend events, not just for all the reasons listed above and for the conversations that you just heard, but so many others as well. Thank you to the NKBA, KBIS, Emerald, AJ Madison, and all of the amazing creatives who came on the show and came into the podcast studio and shared their stories. Just extraordinary. Thank you for listening to Convo by Design presents KBIS Confidential. As always, please join in the conversation on Instagram at Convo by Design with an X. And if you'd like to reach me with a note, show, or guest suggestion, please do. Email me, convobydesign@outlook.com. Thank you. And until next time, stay focused and rise above the chaos.